for tuning in to the Illuminations Podcast. We love having you here. It is our mission to be a beacon of light on your journey towards conscious and mindful living. In our weekly episode, we bring you inspiring change makers in the field of spirituality, healing, personal growth, and wellness who share their insight and expertise so you can navigate your way to a happier, healthier, and more purposeful life.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Illuminations Podcast. I'm your host, Nia. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, yoga teacher, and sound therapist here at Illuminations. I would like to welcome each and every single one of you who's listening to this new episode, because each week we try to bring in different speakers. And what I love about this podcast is our aim is to talk about concepts that may not be well known, and the whole point is to bring awareness, give tools and techniques so that you can just live a little bit lighter each day. So the topic of today is being a channel and talking about light language. So this is a very new one for me. So I'm really curious to hear about this from our new speaker, who is Megha Darji. Megha is a gifted channel of divine language of light. She spreads it with love and enthusiasm through her expertise in channeling higher energies globally. The universe is made up of energy, and she believes anything and everything is possible by channeling the correct energy. So welcome, Megha, and thank you for being with me here today. I have so many questions because I know that a lot of people are very curious about energy work, and some may believe it, some may disbelieve it, and I just feel like at the end of the day, we all just want answers for whatever issues and problems that we have. So let's just get straight into it. But before that, thank you for being here today. How are you?
I am very well and very thrilled to be part of this podcast. And I am so excited to share my journey and some light to all of you here. So absolutely thrilled, yes.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's just get straight into it, right? Yes. So being a channel and talking about light language, let's separate that. So what exactly is being a channel? And what does that mean, being a channel?
Okay, let's put it very simply. Channeling is just that, you become like a medium or a vessel for the higher energies to flow through you. Mm-hmm. And once you get in touch with those energies, you kind of receive that, and then that's what you deliver. Mm. So you kind of become like an instrument to receive the higher energies and deliver it to people, whoever requires that energy. So you are a channel. That is what, we say.
All right.
So here, channeling the higher energies or the light energy is where, you work on your personal frequency so much that you come to a point where you are allowing the higher energies to work through you.
So how do you know that you're working with a higher energy? What does a higher energy feel like compared to, like you said, your frequency? Like what's the difference?
Yeah. A very interesting question and asked by many of the people to me. So higher energies are always very light. It feels very much light, like a feather, and you feel so good about yourself. That's where that is one of the indication that you have, that you're connected with the higher energies. And whereas there are times where you get connected with the lower energies as well, because we have mixed of all. So when you connect with lower energies, you kind of start feeling a little restless, little discomfort in your body, or maybe some aches and pain. And then immediately you know that, no, this is not me. This is not the light energy. So that's the lower energy that you're getting in touch with. Right. So you immediately disconnect and then, come back to your own self.
So what's so important or special about light energy?
Okay. So light energy is basically the universal energy or the cosmic energy that we have, that as a channel we can access and we can share it with everybody, because at this point in time I believe that this earth is going through a transition and we all require this light energy the most. for us to feel the light, to us to feel, to be connected with the spiritual path, and then take our experiences which are, on this planet Earth, to make it the most of, in direction to other mission that we have on this earth.
So if you say that, the whole point of channeling is to connect to the higher energies, why is there a disconnect in the first place, and why isn't it so evident and available to everybody? And like, why is it coming up now, and where did it get misplaced before?
Okay, so let me tell you that we all are a spiritual being having an earthly experience and not otherwise.
Okay, interesting.
Okay. So we all are attuned, and we all are born with these, these superpowers, as we call it. So it's all a natural instinct or the natural powers that we all possess. But it's just that, in this journey of life, we get so disconnected with our own self. So that, we start disconnecting with the powers that we own. So more and more we start connecting with our own self, we are opening up to all the powers.
And when you say disconnect with ourselves, do you mean connecting to the darker energies or the darker side of things? Is that what you mean?
No. I mean to say that, we are all one energy that we are. That's how we created, all of ourselves. The darker, the lighter, the black, the white, the gray, all the shadow self. So all of that, when we start accepting ourselves and we start connecting ourselves with maybe more of practices like meditations and, breath work, and there are many practices that we can do, or just by conscious living. So more you connect with your own self, that is where you are, planting a seed to open up or reconnect with your powers.
So what do you tell people who are non-believers, right? So let's say, like you said, the earth is going through a shift, right? So a lot more people are now, and you can clearly see a lot more people are more interested in spirituality or mental health awareness and so on. But what do you tell people who don't believe these energy woo-woo kind of work that healers and therapists do?
Okay. So I can very well relate to all that, they're saying or all that they're feeling, because I was one of the non-believer at one point of time. So I actually, can feel what they're trying to say, that because coming from the complete non-believer background, where I felt that this is all does not work, this is all just to make up stories, and, it does not have any science behind. But as and when I started learning and, diving deep into, this kind of studies, I realized that there is a science, there is a reason, it works every time. And the amount of experiences and the results that I've seen, it forced me to believe that, yes, it does work.
Because like I like how you mentioned science, because a lot of the time when we're talking about spirituality or light language or being a channel, a lot of the times I imagine, and I'm sure because I've asked these same questions, they would be like, what's the proof? How do we prove it? And if science can prove things, why can we not prove this? So what do you tell people about that when you can't really prove energy work and how it works or if it exists? How do you, without any physical proof, how do you get people to believe it? Or how can people believe it when there isn't physical proof?
Okay. So the energy work, basically, the first step is to, have the experience of it. Yeah.
Experiential.
So it's very, very experiential in nature. So once you go through it and then, you feel it and you can see the results. So that's the first proof. And then talking about the scientific evidence, so, there are some of the studies which are going on right now, and I'm also part of some certain studies that we've started where we are trying to prove, scientifically how it all is working through the brainwave patterns, and
Wow.
and so we also have some studies which are already published, which says that after doing the meditation, there are some of the changes which are found in the brain, like in the long meditators and the short meditators. So that's all there. It's just that we've not proven, but I would say that just in coming few years we have it all in the plate.
Got you. So when you say it has helped you, or because you used to be a non-believer before and now this is what you do, what shift happened to you that made you a believer?
Okay. So the major shift that, I would say from non-believer to believer was moving out of the logical mind and moving in with the mindset of just going with the flow. So I guess that was like the biggest breakthrough that I had, where for everything I had to have a reason, logic. And then now with the light language or the channeling coming in, I just have to surrender and just go with the flow. So that was like a big breakthrough. But to put it down in a simpler way, I would say that as a non-believer, I always felt that, maybe something more concrete or something more conscious work that would give results. But while I was going through this process, and then when I started channeling, I just realized that it is all connected. We are conditioned that, to maybe disconnect the scientific and the physical and the mental and the emotional and the spiritual side. But by being into this kind of work now and being a channel, now I realize it is all about oneness.
Got you. And I love what you touched based on a little while ago about experience, right? Because one aspect is the mental, logical dissection that happens about, is this right, is this true, is it whatever. So the more we go into that mental space, we dissociate, we don't feel. But the more we experience it, it's very hard to put it into words, right? It's a feeling and so on. And I imagine, or based on what you're saying, energy work or being a channel, it's less of a mental space and more of an experiential space. So on that note, I want to ask you a little bit about channeling specifically. If you can just take us step by step, what it feels like, what that process looks like, because I'm sure a lot of people are very curious about how channeling works. So can you take us through that?
Yeah, sure. It'll be my pleasure. So channeling is basically where you get it to a complete neutral zone, okay? Where you get into that level 0.
Okay.
Where there are no thoughts, you're not anywhere else, you are totally integrated in the now. And then you get into that 0 space.
So grounded and present.
Absolutely present, grounded, and in here, in your body, all yourself together. And then just getting into the neutral zone, and then with that intention that I want to connect with a particular energy. So it's not about that you're just being open to, receive anything and everything, because there are like multiple energies around.
So it's like tuning like the radio, basically. And but you do that with intention.
Yes.
Okay.
So you ask for a permission from that particular energy to connect. And once we have the permission, we connect, we receive the messages, and that's all we deliver.
And what do you mean by asking permission, and how does that work? And how do you know if you get the permission or not?
Yeah. So for that, we use a tool called pendulum.
Okay.
Yeah. So that, we are very, very sure that we have yes or no.
And how do you know?
So it rotates clockwise or anti-clockwise.
If it rotates clockwise,
so clockwise indicates yes and anti-clockwise indicates no, so that we know whether we are going ahead with it or we're just closing the session then and there.
So when you say you connect to an energy, what kind of energies can you connect to?
Okay. So you can connect with any kind of energy, mostly higher energies or the high vibrating souls. So, you kind of like, sometimes they just want to connect with their master's energy. Some people want to connect with their higher self, or some want to connect with their spirit guides or some angels, or even to an extent they want to get in touch with their departed loved ones.
Oh, and you can do that just with your intention and the pendulum, seeing whether it's yes or no. So what is the purpose of connecting to a master versus connecting to an angel versus connecting to, let's say, a loved one? When do you do each, or how do you choose who to connect to?
Okay. So this is more of the resonance that we have. Okay. So some people are very, very connected with their master. So they particularly ask that, I want to connect only with the master.
And can you give us examples of who masters are, or what kind of masters there are?
Yeah, sure. So we all have one master who's the guiding light. So it's just that we are so disconnected, so we do not recognize their presence. But they are there with us from the time we are born, and even after life, they guide us through the journey. And they help us in our mission that we have on planet Earth.
And how do we know who our master is?
Yeah, so there's a process through which you can, get in touch with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you connect with the master for guidance for your life purpose and your life plan. So when do you connect with angels and loved ones who've passed away?
So connecting with the higher energies like master, spirit guides, angel, that all is basically we do it for getting more clarity in our life, or guidance for our life purpose, or for the physical journey, or for anything and everything. Just like any other divination tool that we use. Okay, and now connecting with the departed ones, there's a bit of a change in the intention or the guidance. Is that, that is mainly taken place where you need some closure or some healing, or you just want to convey some message that, please forgive me, maybe I would have done something better for you while you were alive. So, things like that, because, you kind of hold on to that guilt for the rest of your life, thinking that, oh my God, I wish I would have, said that before. So that is possible, and that brings immense level of healing.
So when you're connecting, right, is it possible that you connect to energies that are not good? Like, let's say, for example, you have an intention to connect to, let's say, a passed away loved one, but you end up, is it possible that you can connect to someone else with, let's say, ill intentions or like negative spirits or whatever?
No, because we do it with a process where there is a protective shield around. So on an energy level, we create a protective shield, which is given by our own master.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we only connect with the, intended energy, and we do not connect with any other energy. And in case, like, just on some exceptional cases, if we do get in touch with any energy, which is a negative or a lower vibrating frequency, we will immediately know by the feeling of it. Like, you start feeling heavy, or you start having a headache or something. So do you disconnect then and there.
Wow. So your body can really tell whether it's right or wrong for you, and the way you can tell is based on the sensation that makes you feel good or it doesn't make you feel good. So can you share maybe experiences you've had, a good one and a bad one perhaps?
Yeah, sure. So, let me just touch base on what you said, that yes, body. So body, this is the body that is given to us to, to serve the humanity, to serve people at large. So, your body is a very good feedback device, only if we ask and listen. So even if, like, not connecting or being channeled or anything, just on a normal, day-to-day life, if we're having some aches, pain or some illness, you just connect with that part of your body and just ask that, what is it happening? How can I help you? How can I love you more? And you will have your answer.
Oh my, this is crazy, because I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this who've never been exposed to this before will probably be like, what is she talking about? Or like, how does it even work? How can you talk to a body that can't talk, especially if you're from, like, let's say the medical field? But I truly believe that your body talks, and the different ailments that you have in different parts of your body says a lot about the emotional conflict or mental conflict that's happening within yourself, right? So, going back to what you were saying about the body, tell us a little bit about your experience.
Yes, coming back to the experience. So we've had like some beautiful experiences where we connect with some of the souls and we do receive the messages. So one of the example that I would like to share, one of the case study where it was a suicide case. Okay, and the girl was about 16, 17-year-old. Parents separated, so she went into a depressive zone, and then she was not able to take that separation at all. So she was sent to a boarding school so that maybe she would be better over there, thinking. But then from there also, in 6 months she came back. She was living with her mother, and then for 1 year she was taking different therapies and all that, but it was just not helping her. She ended up committing a suicide.
Oh my.
Now the mother approached, and she asked that, now this is what is happening. My whole world is devastated, and then I can't live, and even I want to commit a suicide, and things like that. You know how it feels, for a mother. So all this was happening, and then I just checked in with the permission from the soul, and then I just found that, she is definitely, because it's an unnatural death. So she was also in pain. The mother was also in pain here. So it was like, absolutely lose-lose situation.
Oh my. So you connected with the energy of the girl.
Yes. So energy of the girl, then, we did some of the processes. We tried to communicate, and we requested her to just move on towards the light. Because all the unnatural death, all the souls, they all get stuck in between. So, it's a very sad space to live. So then we asked her to, to move towards the light with the help of masters. And in about like 3 to 4 months, she was, transitioning into the light. And here mother was also like, we did first or second session, and then she said that, yes, last night I just saw her, in my dream, and she said that, please give away all my clothes to needy people. And the moment, she gave away all her clothes, that girl, from there, she was ready to move ahead. And here the mother was also ready to move on and take the life. She said that now I want to live, because she is giving me the messages what I need to do in my life.
Wow.
So I better live, and, I would live a happy life, because she wants me to have one.
That's so beautiful. And when you say she's speaking to you, is it with the pendulum, or how do you get the messages across? And how do you know these are messages from her and not messages from you? How do you segregate that?
Yeah. So it's a complete process that you get into. It's a very psychic process that you have. So there's a pen, and then there's a paper.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, start writing through your hand, and then, in your senses, you get some impressions and some messages, some visuals, something that you hear. So it's like a combination of all the psychic energies together. Yeah. And that's how you have the whole experience, and you know that this is what the energy is.
Wow.
And at times you get such messages which does not absolutely make sense to you. Yeah. But when you tell these messages to the person who is asking, and they say that, oh yes, how do you know that? And then absolutely.
So you get the validation as well, because I imagine that's very important, right?
Yes.
To get their trust and for you to also know that you're communicating with the right person.
That's right.
Wow. Like, I love, as you're speaking this, another thing that's coming to me, it's very similar to being a hypnotherapist, because a lot of the times I get asked from my clients, how do I know if I'm not imagining things? And just like with the work that you do, I feel like, let's say, even if people don't believe this work, or even if, let's say, it's not real, and if it's just an imagination of the mind, I feel like you can measure the success based on how the client feels. And that's always the end goal, right? Whether the imagination leads them to feel better, whether the channeling messages make the client feel better, does it really matter if scientifically you can't prove this is real or not? Right?
Yes. Absolutely, I agree that most of the time we do get validations out of these experiences, and then at times people do come to me and they're like, what kind of proof do you have? Can you validate? I would say that I cannot guarantee you, but I can just tell you that just come with open mind and open heart, and I'm sure the energies will let you know that you are connected with the right, and with God's grace and with the master's blessings. We've had, kind of validations and messages and information which is like, I would have not known, obviously, because I do not ask for any information beforehand before we start the process. So, we do get, a lot of, validations, and that's what, then they feel it in their heart, and then that's how they start healing.
I love that. And I'm sure a lot of people would also be curious to hear a story from your side where you had perhaps like a heavier experience. And could you share that?
Okay. So to share a heavier experience, there are just maybe a couple of them. Not much, because then, we have the protective channel and, things like that. So for heavier channel, yes, in one of the trip there, but I was traveling to one of the places, and I started seeing somebody just passing by me, and there was nobody. And I was like, oh my God, what kind of energy I am feeling around. So I just kind of like, ignored. I was like, okay, maybe whatever. If it is meant to be, then, it'll just come in front of me. And then I kept feeling that for about like 3 days, though it was not a negative energy at all, just to mention, but it was something that was not called for.
Right.
Okay. So I kept feeling that, while I was, at the dining table, I felt that there was somebody sitting across me. And then it was just that there was nobody, but I just had this feeling, or maybe just a flash of it. And while, after 3-4 days, as I was in a meditation solo trip, so on the 5th day, where we were like, I was meditating at one place, and then there was like 7 souls appeared in front of me. And they were the souls of Lama. And they said that, can you just help us to reach the light? And I was like, oh, sure, why not? And they asked that, with the language of light, maybe we can, we can reach the light faster.
Oh, wow.
And then I was like, okay, this is not what I've called for, but if you think that I can help you out, then definitely something that I must do.
So when does this happen, when you have energies that are not called for? Why does that happen, and when does it typically happen to someone?
Okay. So there are many people who are experiencing this, okay? Many people come to me, they're like, I feel the energies around, and I feel like, maybe at night I feel that somebody's talking to me, and then things like that. So here it is that, as I said that, we are all born with these power. So maybe this is the work that you've been doing it across the lifetimes. And now that, you are just reconnecting with that power. So you keep having those experiences. And then, because the energy knows that you are the one who can help them out. So they reach out to you.
Because like you said, they're probably stuck in a space because of not having a body. And being a channel, you can help them do that. I also want to, there are 2 questions in mind. One is, can everyone be a channel or just specific people? The second question, which you briefly touched based on, was light language. So let's start with the first one. So can anyone be a channel? Or is it specific people? Or how can you be a channel?
Okay. So many people can be a channel. And then I would say that, it is there within you. Sometimes, you are not channeling as in like the consciously channeling, but subconsciously we all are channeling some of the other messages. So, to become a conscious channel, yes, all you need is your willingness. So if you are willing to dive into the space of becoming a channel, because that's a lot of inner work.
Right. And when you say a lot of inner work, what exactly do you mean? So
inner work is, we are, as I said that, in today's time, we are all so disconnected with ourselves. So this work, it requires a lot of connection, a strong connection within ourselves, within our inner universe that we have. So more you're connected with your emotions, your feelings, your mental patterns, and, all of yourself. The more you stay connected with yourself, that's where I guess, you start getting all the answers.
Got you. Because I imagine if you're being a channel, you would clearly need to know what's your emotions, what's your feeling, and what's something else. And in order to distinguish between that, you really need to know who you are and what's yours to the core. So what would you say about light language? What exactly is light language that you mentioned?
Okay, so what you explained is like bingo. You got that right. Okay, so about light language, Yes, it is. As I said that, in 2015, I started hearing some voice in my ear. And that language was very, very unknown to me. So I was wondering that, what am I hearing? Or am I just making it up? Or I need to see a doctor? What is it happening? And there, as I was in one of the process, the spiritual process we were going through, and the teacher said that, you are a medium or you are a channel to light language. And I was like, oh my God, what is that? And she said that, you just keep receiving it and then you keep writing it, you receive it in your artwork. I tell you, for 1 year, 1 full year, I did not speak about it to anyone, thinking that, I don't know, people would call me crazy.
Wow, I can imagine, right? And these were just words and sounds that you were hearing?
Yeah, it was a very different sound and different words that I've never heard before, or it was not even resonating with any language that I've ever heard.
Wow.
So I was like, what kind of language is this? But then they said that, it's a light language. So I was like, okay, I'm just flowing with it, just, allowing it to come to me. And there I was going through the shift from the being a logical person to, to a person who's ready to go with the flow.
Yeah. Wow. So it's crazy how you're not the first person I've heard say this. And I'm thinking there must be so many people out there who have had experiences like this, but probably don't speak up about it, probably shut it down because they're afraid to think they're crazy or they don't want other people to think they're crazy. So what would you say to people who are perhaps listening and have had these experiences? What would you tell them?
Okay. So I would say that, if there is anything like this that is happening to you or something that you are getting initiated or awakened with, I would just say that, stick to your truth. Everybody, is going through a shift now that we are going through the shift of the dimensions.
Yeah.
We all are aware that from the 3rd dimension, we are moving towards the 5th dimension. So all the spiritual powers that we possess, that is all surfacing. That is why you must have noticed that, maybe what was practiced 20 years back, now it's no more there. Like, now more and more people want to, experience these therapies, some healing powers. 100%. They want to become a therapist, or they want to experience it, or, they want to make it into their lifestyle practices. So, there's an awakening that is happening because we are moving towards the 5th dimensional reality, which is much more transparent than the 3rd dimensional one.
Right. And that's a lot to unpack there, because I'm sure a lot of people are like, what the hell is 3rd dimension and 5th dimension? So just briefly, can you explain what does it mean to transition and what exactly is that?
Okay. So, this whole of this 2020 and the pandemic and all that stuff, that is a transition that we are having.
Okay.
On an energy level. So the frequency of Mother Earth is changing and it is uplifting. So all those people who are not ready to transition into new frequency, they are now, choosing to leave the planet Earth. And the rest of it, they are choosing to work on themselves and move towards the 5th dimensional self.
Wow. And what are the qualities of 5th dimension and what happens when that shift happens?
So the 5th dimensional energy is more of, it's a completely transparent energy. Okay. So all that we had in 3rd dimensional was like, wearing a lot of mask and pretending to be someone else, and then, not connecting with yourself. And then, so all those shadows and those masks that we had, it is about like, pulling it off and just being yourself, that this is what I am. Whether you accept it or not, this is me. So 5th dimensional is very, very transparent. That is very authentic. That is more of unique and very individual energy that, one can possess. So the more you connect with yourself, you are moving towards the 5th dimensional energy.
Wow, I feel like we can talk about this so much for so long, and there's so many different pathways that we can go into, but unfortunately we don't have enough time for that. But before we end, what tools or techniques can you share with our listeners that can perhaps help them work on getting a bit closer to their higher self, or to maybe train to be a channel? What would you recommend?
Okay. To connect with themselves, or to have something in their daily life, I would say that we all can first of all start living consciously.
Okay, and what does that mean to live consciously?
Yeah. So, we are all very much trained to do certain things in the way it was done previously. So we are very much living the same life.
Like patterns that we've seen from our parents, ancestors, and so on, cultures.
Yeah, so we live what we were living years before. So now living consciously is that, making a conscious choice that what am I eating? What am I wearing? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? We kind of have this, thinking pattern also in such a way that if we choose consciously paying attention to what we are thinking, we can make a lot of difference in our lives. So, just being conscious is the key, being in the awareness is the key to, to have a better choices for our life.
Wow. And how can people live more consciously? Like, what's a starting point?
Okay. The starting point is just connecting with yourself, that what feels right to you, you do that. So anything and everything that does not resonate with your energy, or you feel that, no, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, or this was not something that I want to do, stop doing that.
Because I guess you always have that innate knowing and that gut feeling, right? Like what feels right, what doesn't feel right. And I imagine this is where therapy comes in, when it comes to understanding your voids and the root cause of issues and why you do what you do and so on. Anything else that comes to mind?
So the first thing is conscious living. Second thing is practicing meditation. See, talking about meditation, most people feel that, oh my God, I have to sit in silence, and then, you practice some certain mudras, and, that is
quiet in the mind.
Yeah. And I want to, break that thing that, no, it's not. Meditation is anything that you enjoy doing. If you enjoy dancing, just dance your way out, and then you'll feel that you are into that meditative zone.
Yeah.
If whatever hobbies that you have, or whatever work that you're doing, if you're giving your 100% into it and just getting lost into that process, that you are meditating.
Yeah.
So increase that quotient of, enjoying the work that you're doing. I think that is the best way to stay in that meditative zone.
I love that. So tip number 1, living consciously. Tip number 2, meditating. So these are the 2 tips that you have for connecting to your higher self and getting to know who you really are, being a channel, and so on. Thank you so much, Megha, for joining us today. Honestly, it was such an insightful conversation, and I'm so interested in this topic. It's always eye-opening for me. Thank you so much, and we hope to have you again soon, maybe to dive a little bit deeper. And I thank all the listeners as well for joining in. And I hope you stick with us and continue to stick with us, listening, learning, and learning to live light. So until next time, stay safe and bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love to have you tune in again next week as we discuss more engaging topics on relationships, health, career, self-care, and spirituality. If you'd like to help support this podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave us a rating and review. We'd be extremely grateful. To catch all the latest from us, you can also follow us on Instagram at Illuminations World, or visit the Illuminations World YouTube channel for more inspiring content. See you again next week, and until then, live light.